Hello and welcome to John and James Live. My name is John Hastings and I'm with the main man, Mr. James CeeLo. Welcome back, everybody, 2026. How are you, James?
Wow. I'm good. I'm good. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody. We're back and raring to go. Everyone says that, don't they? Sometimes we're raring to go. I've seen a few people on LinkedIn that are not so raring, and people have the. Well, is there a Monday in January that is meant to be like the worst Monday ever, isn't it? It's like the Blue Monday or something. I think it's the third week in Jan where reality
Some
sets
sort of
back
colour
in.
Monday, isn't it? It's like the aftermath of the festive season
Yeah.
comes in the form of a horrible Monday.
I don't know. I feel relatively had a decent end to the year last year, so I feel quite optimistic about this year. The sun's shining, it's fresh, but as we'll talk about today, we'll go through 2026 predictions, do a quick evaluation of 2025 just to see what we learned there and to see what's coming, what's changing, what you guys think out there, and we'll go from there. Daniel, hello, Daniel, welcome. Happy New Year to
New
you,
Year.
sir. Hope you're well. Definitely let us know what you think about your 2026 predictions and where things are going. So, firstly, James, we will talk about 2025. What did we learn about 2025? Because we kicked off in 2024, both of us, didn't we, with an idea to do lives, and we did around about 70 to 80 live shows in 2025. Pretty good. We was consistent in 2025, wasn't we? We met some great people, business owners, scientists, all sorts, therapists. There was quite a mix in there, a lot of one-on-one shows between you and I. What did we learn about 2025, James? Because we started off doing online exercise, didn't we? And that's how we sort of thought we'll keep ourselves accountable. What was your initial thoughts about it?
Yeah, it was an interesting human experiment, wasn't it? And I think when you look at motivation, these ideas that we get in our heads and how long they last for, you get all involved in the emotion of it at the beginning.
Yeah.
And how fantastic an idea it seemed at the time. And then it's the doing it. And the two don't necessarily marry up. And I would say in the majority of things, generally in life, the idea doesn't always match the actuality of doing it.
Yeah, novelty can wear off quite quickly, can't it, with a lot of things. If you're creative people, maybe like us, then we probably got a number of ideas, but execution it seems to be the thing.
But we did when you look at the
a while. You definitely helped me, James. I have to say, in 2025, I think the results show that the consistency was fantastic. We averaged more than, I don't know, one to two lives per week for a whole year. The exercise was much better last year, even though I did get my, in between the sessions, which helped me get my kidney stone diagnosis and then having a kidney stone operation, which if I didn't do the exercise with you, I don't think I would have found out that I had a kidney stone. It probably just would have been sitting there. It could have got a lot worse and caused long-term damage if we didn't do that burst of exercise. I think that was a great thing to get sorted out. And we interacted with a lot of people last year, didn't we? My audience grew. My audience doubled from 5,000-6,000 to 12,000 in a year, which was really good.
It's a lot.
So I think all in all, that was the positives. Negatives, in my mind, I thought we would have a group of middle-aged men in a community doing exercise, and it would be like 100, 200 guys in a group. And realistically, we realized that the platform was either wrong, the messaging was potentially wrong, or people just weren't interested in doing.
Or we weren't doing it for long enough. I mean, all these different variables. It was like
there's a number of variables.
The motivation, like I was saying, behind it. Initially, it was just for you and I, wasn't it? To hold each other accountable. Maybe more so for you than for me, possibly at the beginning.
Yeah.
But then it was about showing up for each other. And then you can kind of start to play tricks on yourself and thinking, well, actually, what are we doing it for? Are we doing it just for each other? Are we doing it for reach? Are we doing it to engage with people so that they can then start to do it, and we then create a community, and then maybe there's a paywall behind that, and then you start to think about the money side of things, and then it maybe gets a bit weird. And then when you don't get the traction you were potentially hoping for or anticipating, then the motivation then starts to wane, and then you're in a situation where you go, well, I'm not doing it because it's not achieving the ends that I was, or we were hoping for. So that's, an honest kind of feedback of the process that I think we go through with a lot of stuff generally, that your motivations seemingly are pure to begin with, but then it can start to morph into something else. And then if you don't get the results that you were anticipating, hoping for, then the motivation can quite rapidly drop off. And I think that's what happened to us with the exercise side. But then we found, and it could have been so many different factors: the time of day we were doing it, the platform we were doing it, the fact we weren't doing it, consistently enough for a longer period of time, we weren't promoting it properly.
100%.
There's so many variables in it. And for one reason or another, it did sort of stop. But one thing that did remain was doing this, was just turning up, talking, just being us.
Even though we did try to niche it, didn't we? We did. We sort of gone for a middle stage where we was niching it. But the issue was, I think we was thinking about monetizing it too early and losing the creative juice or the impetus to try and, we started thinking about health technology and stuff that it's not that we wasn't interested in it, but we wasn't like die hard in that area, was we? So it's hard to keep something going long term when you're not truly into it.
And when you think about that as well, I mean, that in itself, there's so many layers. It's like, well, do you need to be niche? Do you need to have something that you can sort of put your hat on and say, that is us, that's what we're about? Or is it just about being curious and having conversations with people that have created something? It doesn't, need to necessarily matter what that something is, but, they've put themselves out there, they've birthed something into the world, whatever that is. It was uncomfortable, it was hard, all of these things. And is that not enough, just to have conversations with people that have done the hard stuff?
I changed my mind around it, James. I started to think, okay, this is not going to be the monetary vehicle short term. And then once we did that, it just allowed it to be a creative outlet and something. I thought to myself, what would I do if money was, it wasn't on the table, it wasn't no objective on the money side. And I would still do these conversations because I enjoy them. So if we think about long term, if we kept on doing this for 5-10 years, who knows what would come up? My ideal scenario that we could have a radio station, or we would be on a show, or we could have a big audience. But those things don't really come in 1 year, 2 years. There's something's going to take, realistically, it's a 5-year plus model.
But I think there's like we talked about, it's like being strategic and having the structure there. and being intentional.
Yeah.
As opposed to just kind of turning up and talking.
Yeah.
Thinking it from our perspective, if it's just the two of us and we're just happy to sort of sit here and chat, then, but thinking from it, from an audience perspective, it's like, what will people listen to? What makes it interesting? What, rather than just two blokes of a certain age chatting shit.
Yeah.
And that's
what we got to say to people about objectives, James, because it depends what your objectives are. If your objective is to make money and push yourself on LinkedIn around your own business, if I was doing lives, I would just, I am doing lives, but if I was doing it just to make money, I would say, right, I should just be talking about branding, brand architect, how to build a brand, how to do this. That
becoming
would be
the authority,
becoming the authority in that position. But yeah, that's something that I may or may not do. So I prefer doing the writing on that side. But for these lives, there's something I'm seeing doing for 5 to 10 years as a slow burn, and you get so much secondary benefits from it. Human connection on networking. You get better at talking. You get better at trying to understand your ideas
and being more comfortable just talking and not overthinking it. I mean, it's so much. I was just having a conversation this morning with somebody, like they are the founder in this particular business and feel uncomfortable in front of the cat. They know what they should be doing.
Yeah.
They know they should be producing content and just doing it. But we get inside our own heads and think, well, the camera's not set up right, or the lighting's not correct, or I'm not ready to, or I don't know what I'm talking about, or I don't know what to say. And actually, the majority of people are just interested in an individual, in a person, the character, and it's, not necessarily about the content, although that clearly is important. But if it's at the expense of doing it, it's like, well, if you're not doing it, then nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
But if you can be there, you can kind of just allow the process to almost kind of take over. That yes, you can, have a decent camera, you can try and get the lighting right and make sure that you're lit from the right direction, all that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, it's about just doing it, isn't it?
Yeah. And the return on investment, just don't expect it to be, 6 months, 1 year on this type of game. This, for me, doing lives, that's my first prediction really for 2026, is that live streaming is just going to get bigger and bigger. There's already a younger generation that, potentially people our age, 40s and 50s, are not familiar with. And we said it before, didn't we? There was a celebrity football game, and everybody gets cheered when they come through. So you get the athletes, they get a cheer. You get the YouTubers, they get a cheer. And then the biggest cheer was for the live streamers. So live streaming is huge. You get people, like maybe KSI started it. You get iShowSpeed. There's a lot of people out there. You get Candice Owens, who is doing huge numbers on her live stream. She's not really doing pre-recorded videos. She does a live stream Monday to Thursday, and she's got a book club, and she's getting 2-3 million. I think it's around averaging between 1 and 2 million views on a live.
Yeah.
Which is crazy numbers.
And I think, and we talked about this quite a bit last year, but the advent of AI and deep fake, that you can get to a point where actually the trust comes from doing a live and genuinely live. That there will come a point when you could appear to be doing a live, but actually it's AI generated, and you'll have 2 AI generated beings interacting with each other seemingly in real time. But I still feel where we are at the moment that live is literally the only way that you can guarantee that this is real. And you can have people asking questions in real time, making comments, you can respond to it, and you'll still be able to differentiate between what is AI generated and what is human, because the human won't be perfect.
Yeah, and there'll be some type of system sort of like emblem or something like that that tells you if this is AI person or you know, it will go in that way. But 2026, I think live is going to go bigger. This is sort of the Alex Hormozis, the Gary V's. He reckons live shopping is going to be big. Hormozzi's talking about his lives, they're going to be big. All the political news commentators, I've noticed the people going on to Rumble, people on YouTube lives are going big. There's all of the streamers from the younger generation who are used to live content, and they will spend hours, you know, watching other people do gaming and things like that. So real live interactive content, I think, is going to be a winner. Because on LinkedIn, James, if I'm being honest, I don't watch any video. I don't watch anything that looks commercially well put together. Personally, I don't watch it. I know other people might do. I don't know if it's just the way my brain, as soon as it's a commercial, I skip. If it looks too over polished, I skip.
That's a level of fatigue, isn't there? I think generally.
I think so.
It's interesting. Yeah. But I think like what you've done previously is with a photograph that sort of grabs your attention first and foremost, and then you choose whether or not to read the article associated with it. But I think the static image generated by AI, we admit, but the static image still has that creativity behind it, the thought process of what it is you're trying to convey, and then the text feeds into that. It gives you that next layer of context. This is the photograph that kind of grabs your attention, and then there's an explanation underneath. I think that's really powerful. Sometimes a video can kind of do so much for you that you go like, well, I've seen it now. I can move on. You know, you'll make a snap judgment about it. It's interesting.
And I think also you've got to just know yourself as well. Some people are very good at creating these little videos, and they actually work. They work in their niche. It's better. People maybe learn more visually. They take it on board more visually. So I'm not saying video is not going to be good for LinkedIn or any other platform in terms of like doing professional video, because I think there is a place in all markets for it, depending on who you are. If you're good at it, you're good at storytelling, you're good at putting them together, I reckon it could be huge for you. I just think know yourself in that. And I personally don't watch overly produced commercial videos.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Who knows? But in terms of 2025, the posts worked by far. Written posts and writing was by far the most successful way of reaching people. They created the most DMs. Kind of
organic. It was organic reach, and I think prediction for this year is going to be more of that organic reach.
Yeah.
But I don't know how that kind of fares with social media platforms, whether that organic reach is falling. I don't know what you're seeing. Are you seeing that specifically, that organic seems to be less, that they want to push you into more kind of advertising, marketing spend, so that organic reach is less effective? What do you think?
I think logically, James, I think that's probably going to be the direction it's going to go. I think all social media platforms are there to give you a dose of attention and then funnel you into some type of monthly payment subscription, aren't they? So they're going to squeeze the reach and then get you to try and pay for it somehow. So I haven't seen it yet, but I haven't started up my weekly articles yet. So I'm just giving people I wanted a break, give people a break to come back in January. So once I start up, maybe I would know if this is going to work. But again, James, a lot of it can be vanity. Do you need a viral post, or is it better to just have a post that hits your market and gets you
that's the fine line, isn't it? I mean, you obviously want reach. You want to get out to as many people as you can, so that you're increasing the chances of striking. You know, you're throwing out your net, you're trying to get as many people as you can. But is it vanity metrics that, you know, in terms of engagement, in terms of likes, in terms of comments, does that actually translate into creating revenue? So, you know, again, it's one of those things that, like, you'll have a tantalizing sort of glimpse to keep you engaged. But what does that mean for the creator if you then have to pay for reach? You're not getting the organic reach. You've now got to pay for reach.
Yep.
And are the people that the eyeballs you're paying for, are they engaging with you as an individual? You know, whereas seemingly organic reach is much more to do with building that relationship, of seeing that, you know, what you're putting out, content you're creating, if that resonates with an audience, then they want more of it. Or it will, you know, the algorithm is such that it will start to come up on your feed more if you've clicked on it, the length of time you read that article, watched that video, all of those sort of things. Clearly, they want you to be engaged for a period of time, and then you're rewarded as a result. Is that going to stay the same, or is it just literally on how much you spend?
We will see. They're definitely there to make money, aren't they? So whichever way they're going to do it, they want to entice you in, like the drug dealer, give you the drugs first, get you high, and then get you addicted, and then get you coming back, then squeeze the supply down, and then you're going to start paying for it. So I guess that's what they've done on all of the platforms. They've done it on TikTok, where it's quicker to build an audience, and then they'll start monetizing it. Same as LinkedIn. So I guess everything goes in a cycle anyway, doesn't it, James? And I guess you got to have a bit of a marketing mix. So go niche content, go very specific, speak to a smaller audience, then maybe try a broader approach, go for a more viral post, then throw in a little bit of live, throw in a little bit of video.
Smaller audience and a trusting audience.
You
know, it's like having mass reach, but people don't like you, trust you, whatever, doesn't translate into anything. Whereas a smaller audience that loves you, trusts you, you know, championing you.
I think sort of like, know, and trust, isn't it? Like the Kevin Kelly article, 1,000 true fans, you know, get 1,000 people who love you. If they spend 20 quid a month for you, you're set for life, aren't you, to be honest? And 20 grand a month, you're all good. So but all of this is easier said than done. But another prediction for 2026, James, is the age of the consultant. I think personally that you're seeing now with big businesses, they're going to start to lean out. So they're going to get rid of positions that are not necessarily where they can implement better and better AI systems. There's a lot of AI agencies around systemizing, you know, using ChatGPT and other systems to create code to do things that would have needed a team, marketing, even project management, all of those type of things. I think you're going to see the age of the consultant, where a company will want somebody who's specialized in a little bit of a generalist in everything, but can be like a 5-person marketing team in one without them having 5 people on a payroll. So I think the age of a consultant is going to really start to come forwards, and that really leads into the personal brand and stuff that the Daniel Priestley was talking about, or the Stephen Bartlett, Alex Hormozi's. I think we're going to see, just because of with automation and job displacement, James, is that where you're seeing it too? Do you think that's going to be the way forwards? Because nobody really wants people on payroll, do they?
I think majority of businesses want to stay lean, don't they? As lean as possible, which obviously impacts on their bottom line. So, you know, if they can do it that way, where they don't have the responsibility for an individual that it can be on a subcontractual basis, you know, they don't have the overhead and, you know, specialism that they can then outsource that. I can see how that would be attractive. And then you're in a situation where you've got expertise as opposed to being a kind of a generalist, like you said.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see that, and I think, you know, people that have studied and learned AI and what the potential is, those, as opposed to the people creating AI, I think they're the people that will fare well. That they, you know, become integral to the whole kind of process, really.
I think, James, we're going to see what we've seen in 2025, which was the takeoff of AI. Really, it's really coming to the mainstream now.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be more integration in 2026. Whether we see AGI or not, I'm not really too sure. But I just think it's going to be even more advanced. It's going to, which would be logical, it's going to advance, but it's going to be even more integrated. And the thing is with it, it's changing so fast that there is very few real experts in it. So it gives you an opportunity. If you can spend a week deep diving into something, you can become a relative expert in a field where most people are not going to know what you're talking about. Or if you're good at learning, I think that's for 2026. Just be somebody who's very curious and open to learning constantly, because you're going to have to update your own brain all the time, aren't you, James?
I mean, going back to your point about lives and the kind of the authenticity I've seen now, there was a particular gym chain that are using sort of almost counterculture. So in their marketing, they had a load of deep fake videos or pictures that, you know, clearly somebody's created, put a lot of time and effort into it. There's still that level of creativity, but fundamentally it's AI generated, and then market themselves as you know, doing things in real time with real people. So trying to kind of bring that community together, that the only authenticity is doing it in person, live, in real time, in the same room.
Yeah.
So you're guaranteed the experience being authentic and having that sense of connection. So it's just interesting how they use that, again, like counterculture, of going back to the fundamentals of human contact.
Great point. Yeah. That leads us on to the next one, James, in predictions. In the I believe is going to go back to localization and community and real world experience. So I get the feeling on the grapevine, James, that there is a bit of fatigue setting in. I've heard a few people that I've spoke to clients wise who are just even fatigued of the LinkedIn feed. They're fatigued of social media in general. You know, they're fatigued that there's not many places to even living in London to actually just go out, you know, listen to a bit of music without having to drink alcohol. Where is there to even go anymore, to go to an experience? I think we are so lacking in real experiences, where in the 90s it was very much, you know, a bit more pub culture or nightclub culture or festival culture, where people was out experiencing each other. You know, phones hadn't really taken off then, had they, in the 90s? So I think 30 years down the line, we will see what you just said, that swing back, that rebalancing, and we might start seeing a little bit more of that in 2026. What do you think, James?
Well, we're at an interesting inflection point now, I think, where it's early enough that people still aren't up to date with AI, that they can still be fooled by AI. We're at that kind of tipping point where clearly there's people in a narrative that are going, well, that's AI. Look at how many fingers they've got. Look at that. Doesn't, you know, they've got too many arms, too many legs, whatever. And there's still this kind of distrust around it. And my sense is that the longer this goes on for, the more it becomes mainstream, that actually a genuine photograph could very well be dismissed out of hand as being AI generated, because there's that level of uncertainty now. You know, you just don't know. So we're kind of at that tipping point that even now it's become every day. You know, it's part of the vernacular, but it will get to a point where you really will not know unless there's something that comes up, like you said, a sort of a little monogram that comes up in the corner of the screen to say this is AI generated. There's a filter that all of this has to go through to verify whether it is real or not real. But even then, it's like, you know, that can be overridden.
So are we becoming numb to it, James? Are we becoming desensitized, fatigued?
I think there's some apathy creeping in as well. I think, you know, certainly there's posts that I see periodically on Facebook. The comment section is like, are you all nuts? Are you fucking mad? This is clearly AI. And yet there's people in there that are responding to what they're seeing in front of them as though it is real. You know, there'll be like a vintage photograph put out about something that happened in history and it's been AI generated, but, you know, is it about the story? Is the image actually important? Because it's illustrating something that happened. And then you start to go deeper into the detail and find out that actually that story has been embellished, that what didn't actually happen that way. But to get eyeballs, they've created the picture, they've then attached the post to it as though this was the genuine, you know, sepia photograph taken at that time.
Yeah.
Where it's clearly been AI generated and then the text or the narrative has been doctored to fit the picture. So you've got all of these different things that are going on underneath the surface that are causing people to become less trusting of the content that they're consuming. So how do we get to a point where we can rebuild that trust, that actually without having to think massively about what it is you're seeing or what you're hearing, that you can believe in it?
Yeah, which might just come down to the source, which will be the person that you're listening to. You build up a relationship with them. Yeah. To say, look, this person's been talking on this subject for a long time. I sort of trust that they've done their homework to research something. So I think that can be done that way. I just think in this year there's going to be a heightened level of media fatigue and then a rebalancing. So where that rebalancing goes, I'm not quite sure, but I think we could do quite well in real life experiences can come back around. So Hyrox was a good point, wasn't it, last year, where we saw how much that had grown and being there to feel the buzz. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but there was 50,000 people, 50,000 people at an arena doing exercise. There's something there. There's a real thirst for in-person events, I would say.
And you can see how many people are now trying to copy that format, you know, the different modes, these different, you know, but racing events are on the increase. They're on the rise. And it's, you know, Hyrox. Prior to Hyrox, like we said, there was CrossFit. Now there's Hyrox, and Hyrox has captured the imagination of a generation, you know, not just a generation, but the people in their 60s, 70s, you know, even older, doing this. So,
and it's not rocket science, is it? It's a circuit training. So it's like, it's the most
but it's you know, they haven't reinvented the wheel. They've just put it together in a format that appeals and has captured the imagination.
Yeah, so if you're a coffee shop, I would like to see in London, please, somebody do somewhere where they've got like live musicians, like acoustic guitarist or a singer in a coffee shop, put some nice sofas in there. Don't charge more than £3.50 for a coffee and have really good internet. And people will probably have 2 or 3 coffees in there, and it'll be good to have
fascinating
a bit of a vibe.
You've got the two main dominant, Starbucks and Costa, and you look at the way they're formatted. You know, one will make the seats relatively uncomfortable, so you come in, you're there for a period of time, but you don't want to spend half a day there.
like
and there's
prep.
another one that is very much around getting you to stay, have another cup of coffee. So one is trying to turn over, and the other one is trying to get you there to stay, to buy more.
Get you in,
coffee.
yeah. I'd like to see more community places where the environment then reflects on the people, so people dress up a bit more. They look nice, they look smart, you know, trendy. They're going into nice environment to sit there. Probably what Soho House and those type of places are doing behind the scenes, where it's like private members clubs.
Yeah.
But something like that, more live music, musicians, bringing back more arts and creativity into society to pull community together. Because I think with even watching programs like Bohemian Rhapsody over the Christmas period, and they had the Rocket Man film as well, and just remembering what it was like, sort of, you know, I was young in the 80s and 90s, but the creativity and the music scene and the arts and the being outside. Even as a kid, I was going to football matches with my family. It wasn't that expensive. And now it's all televised. Even if you go to a concert, you know, people are taking their phones and they're watching the concert through their phone. I think they should ban phones at concerts. It's just, people don't realize, but it kills their own experience. Who's ever going to watch a pixelated, rubbish quality thing that you've taken through your phone when you're actually there?
Well, this is an interesting thing because, you know, I'm in a situation like, take Christmas, for example. I mean, I'm catering for a lot of people. We had 15 people come over, and I didn't take one photograph with my phone. And now there was a combination of obviously being busy, but kind of like just in the moment of doing it and getting through it, but enjoying everybody, the company, etc., etc. Yeah. And afterwards I thought, well, I didn't document it. Now, is that conditioning that you think, well, you've got to take photographs, it's got to then go up on social media, blah, 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 blah. But actually, I was just enjoying the moment. It didn't occur to me at any point to pick my phone up and take a photograph.
Yeah.
So I didn't document the day, but I got the memory of it in my head.
You're present.
So that's
it's
just
a happy medium, isn't it? Probably to take a couple of snaps. My wife's good at taking pictures and being more, you know, effective. But do I don't know if it's a men and women type of thing. Maybe. For me, I don't hardly take any pictures. And I do get annoyed if my wife keeps stopping every 5 minutes to take a picture. I'm just like, oh. Just be present. Just put it in a memory bank. We can come back tomorrow and see exactly the same thing. But you know, sometimes if you've got kids and stuff, it's nice to do, isn't it? Or Christmas event.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. It's, and again, I think there's a level of fatigue around, you know, people coming up on video saying, you know, I just wanted to make this video, and you know, I felt I wanted to say this thing. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, I've done it myself, but I think there's, and again, this is just from my perspective, there's a level of fatigue of that.
Yeah.
Of going, you know, or people just starting out doing it and say, look, you know, I thought it would be important that I reintroduce myself, you know, after the Christmas period. And I understand why people do it. Don't get me wrong. I completely get it. But I think there's a level of fatigue around that as well. It's just like, is there a point at which we say, you know what, I've got this great product, I believe in it, I just want to sell it?
Yep. You know, I think that's key. I just had a client just then. I just said, look, you got to kick the donkey from 100 different directions, and it might be repetitive to you, but people are only seeing it, you know, 1 in 20, or they don't even know what you do. So
yeah.
I think some of it is just being repetitive and thinking, I'm just going to be a creator instead of a consumer on these platforms, and not get drawn into stuff that doesn't really matter.
Not try and sugarcoat it. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all trying to sell on LinkedIn. We're all trying to sell shit. And like, at what point do we sort of go, oh, maybe we're not trying to sell it? But yes, we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
it can be worse to do it the other way, isn't it? Like a manipulative DM of like, oh yeah, just reaching out to say hello. And it's like,
are you really? I mean, really?
I doubt it. I doubt it.
But look, we're all guilty of it. We all do it because that's the game. You know, that's
the game.
What we do. But
that's the game.
It's like, I don't know that you'll ever get away from the underlying intention. You know, you can say that genuinely, I'm just interested. I mean, probably the most genuine interaction was between you and I, that I had zero intention or anything that I thought I could get out of that conversation, apart from this guy's like a carbon copy of me. And that we had that conversation and just talked, you know, that I can genuinely categorically say that's how it happened. But how many of those interactions on platforms like LinkedIn could you genuinely say that you just want that interaction? You don't want anything else out of it. And why can't we be honest about it? Because we all know that's the case. We all know that's the game.
Yeah. I don't mind if people pitch to me. I completely understand, you know, people are trying to survive out there. It is business. Totally. It is a game. LinkedIn is a bit of a strange hybrid platform. I know it's morphing into a few different things, but in reality, people are there either to try and, you know, improve their brand trust, trying to sell their own services and products. So let's just see it for what it is and just roll with it. Don't be scared. Get yourself out there and ask questions and speak to people. And if people are funny about it, then maybe they're not the people you want to work with anyway. So
you kind of move on.
I wouldn't worry about it.
But it depends on who you are as a person, doesn't it? I mean, if you're a kind of people pleaser that want everybody to like you, love you, and, you know, think you're the best thing since sliced bread, it's really hard, really, really hard to just move on to the next one, because it's like that stuff stays with you and you ruminate, and it's like, well, actually life would be a hell of a lot easier if you could just detach, dissociate, and say, well, that it weren't for me, you know, we weren't right, move on. Depends on
I like that, James. I think so. We've gone from the prediction of live, and then we've gone to real world experiences that we think are going to take off. What I also think is going to happen, James, I think we're going to see the green shoots of this is localized production. So bringing production home from globalization. And I've been looking at it recently. I wanted to buy a coat, and I wanted to buy something that was made and produced in England with English materials. I didn't end up finding anything that I could that fit the bill, but I was thinking, I want that. I want to go and feel it. I want a table that's made locally from a tree that was cut down locally. I want to buy clothes from, you know, local designers. I don't really want mass produced. I like smaller batches of very localized goods. And I know there's a guy, John Thorns, he's on LinkedIn, from South Ormsby Estate. You know, he's done extremely well in business, and he's really pushing to build a real community in South Ormsby, I think it's maybe in the northwest of England. So that's to do with food, with production, with entrepreneurship, with business, with, you know, social connections. He's trying to build something there. And I think for, you know, successful people that are listening to this, they've made their money, they're doing stuff. Then maybe I think we can bring production home and become more self-sufficient, because it's not good to, it might be good business wise to, you know, offshoot everything to Bangladesh and wherever else, Vietnam, but realistically, it's not good for the environment. It's not good for people. It detaches you from the product. It becomes all about money and cheapness, and, you know, where's the handmade stuff?
Well, economically, I believe that if you are comfortable, you have the bandwidth to think along those lines. This is a generalization. I'm not saying that people who are, less well off, but unfortunately, to have that, there's a cost. So production cost, it will be more expensive to buy because it's not made in China, Bangladesh. So
there's also a cost here, though, James, isn't there? Because the jobs in these factories and our ability to become self-sufficient, to feel proud of, I work for James Coates. We work with the land, we work with the sheep on the fields, and we build the coats, and we got community of hundreds of people working there.
So when you are comfortable, you're not in reactive mode, you're not in survival mode, and price is not as important. I think when you are struggling financially, that it's survival, and you're like, well, this is what I need. I'm not at this moment in my life particularly worried about the footprint, air miles, whether it's come out of a sweatshop. I just need this for my kids, or that's what I need for me. So I would say utopia is that we collectively start to demand or shop that way. And by doing that, that brings the costs down. So it's this kind of chicken and egg, isn't it? That we're in a situation where we demand better. And if more of us do that collectively, then that's reflected in the price. Obviously, production costs come down if there's demand. If it's niche, the prices will stay high, and then it's only the preserve of the few. So
I think we've got to look to government and systems and use some of these really successful, like John Thorne's successful entrepreneurs who are thinking differently, because I don't want to go to a high street that's full of, mass commercial brands. Paris looks like London. London looks like Milan. It's like exactly the same shops on the high street. I want to see unique businesses, unique, independent chains.
But like you said, they need fundamentally support, because they can't exist in a vacuum. And whilst we're in a situation economically that, you're looking for mass produce, you're looking for cheap, and there's not the appetite, there's not the level of appetite required to make it economically viable.
I think we will see, James. That's why I said the grassroots. I don't think it's going to change in 2026, but I think we're going to see a shift towards that, because once you're relying on being a sort of an import nation, and you lose all your skill set of being able to produce, then you end up in a bit of a pickle. Like all the technical people who are building computers, all the technical people who are good at engineering, all the people that can actually physically build stuff, is going to be all outsourced. So you're just at the mercy at some point of everybody else. So it puts you in a very weak position. And I think it gives you a lot of social morale to be able to be the farmer, to be the craftsman, to be the engineer, to be the, if you was involved in building your own table, you're not going to just throw it away every 5 minutes like an IKEA piece. You're actually going to value it. It's going to be, potentially an heirloom. You're going to keep that jacket for longer than you would do if you're involved with making it, or the story of making it, and it is more of a one-off than a mass-produced garment. So this is maybe my hopes for the future, but I'm not sure how it's going to go. That leads us on, James, on to globally. So we see at the moment we've got Trump has taken over Venezuela. You're going to see Trump maybe trying to take over Greenland. So what I'm thinking, James, in this sense, with predictions for next year, is that Russia, on the Russia-Ukraine war, Russia will not lose. it's impossible now for nations to lose because there's no nuclear weapons. Everybody's playing a proxy game of war on the front line, when realistically it's like having a boxing match, but each person's got grenades in the corner that they could blow the boxing ring up. That's what war is like nowadays. So it's more of a game like that. America will turn 250 years old, James, in 2026. So that will be quarter of a century of the foundation of America. Donald Trump will turn 80 years old in June or July. And the World Cup is in America this year as well. So I'm thinking America are going to be strengthening all of their borders, all of their relationships, because they know that NATO is going to completely collapse, and Russia will basically win that war, and they want to shore themselves up on the other side of the ocean. What do you think, James?
Yeah, no, I don't disagree, mate. I mean, I have a theory, and it's just a theory, in my opinion, is that America will continue on a trajectory for a certain period of time, whilst it suits the factions that are there quietly sitting in the background. You know, the familial wealth, the historical wealth that underlies American society. So you're talking 250 years, but institutional wealth, that the Senate is one thing, the government is one thing, but money talks. And I think all the time that they're not under threat, these factions, they will allow things to continue. As soon as that then looks like it's under threat, those factions will then step in. That's my belief. So, and I kind of have to have that as a saving grace, that I then don't fly into a spiral of chaos, thinking that the whole world is going to come to an end. That at some point, the economics of a situation will, because all of these things are funded and motivation comes from protecting wealth and hereditary wealth, that as soon as that looks like it's coming under threat, things will then happen as a result.
Yeah, I think you're right, James. I think people in 2026 will be surprised. I reckon there'll be a bit of a proliferation of the expansion of military war. We can even see there was certain legislation where they're trying to encourage people in the UK to join the army as a young person for a year. I can't remember what I read about that, but it was something about some army thing that they're encouraging people to join. So I think we're going to see a militarization globally as NATO collapses, Russia wins in that point. You know, the natural resources are going to be, you know, up for grabs pretty much everywhere. That's pretty much what Ukraine is about. That's what Venezuela is about, because they've got huge, they've got huge oil reserves there.
A thin veil of it being about drugs wars, and dictatorships. I think, majority of us know.
And Israel is a bit of a, in some ways, a bit of a satellite site for America, which is strategically based in the central Arab land. So I guess it's, you know, it's very strategic for big powers like France, America, and the UK to have that there. So I think it's going to get more dangerous, James. On the negative side, I can see AI warfare, drones, militarization, NATO drops, America pulls away from Europe. So then Europe's going to have to up their military spend. So I think that's probably what we're going to see. Maybe a fear of Russia, and, you know, Putin's getting older. He's not going to last forever. So he's probably looking at his successor there, which is going to be a dramatic shift.
Well,
so people don't really know how that's going to go.
It's the vacuums left by these individuals, a vacuum left by Trump.
Yeah.
Vacuum left by Putin. It's like, who's going to move into that vacuum? Potentially could be even worse. Could be better. but could be even more extreme. I mean, the situations with both of those has been a boiling frog, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just periodically getting that up to a rolling boil from cold, and then nobody knows, or the extremity of it. You're not fully impacted by it because it's just been a steady kind of gradation of controversy.
Yeah, it's a dangerous point, James. That's the only concern. That's a real concern for me in 2026. In the back of my mind is that there could be some sort of black swan event where some nations push too far and then somebody presses like the nuke button, or some of these smaller factions that are being squeezed out. They call it terrorism, whatever you want to call it. But as soon as people get squeezed or pushed too far to the edge, you're going to get an extreme on the other side, aren't you? Whether it's going to be a very big, what they would call terror. I don't want to call it terrorism because I think it's more complicated than that, but some type of public attack. And I wouldn't put that out of the realms, whether it's in London or America, to have, especially on the 250th year of America, I really wouldn't put it out of the realms of possibility that will be some type of major incident. So I would, hopefully not, but I cannot see it going any other way at the moment. I can just see the trajectory is going to be more military intervention, more military spend, AI, drones, chemical warfare, potentially power struggles over this AI battle. We're going to see people squeezed, job displacement, middle classes not quite knowing which way to turn, and then a bit of a contradiction of capitalism where those people that have lost their jobs haven't got the money to spend, and then the businesses are not making money because the public haven't got any money. So they've automated themselves out and become efficient, but the market's died off. And then we're going to have to radically change the way society functions, but I just can't see that happening without a real breakdown in society. In 2026, I think we'll see more of that, with maybe people struggling with the cost of living, job displacement, technical automation that's creating a lot of disruption, James. So I don't want to end on a negative, because I think what we can do, James, is just roll with the punches and play your cards.
You've got to focus on things that you can influence. Where are the opportunities?
Exactly, because there are major opportunities, isn't there? Like what I said about John the entrepreneur. There's lots of successful people out there. We've got to come together and realize that the capabilities, James, are just astronomical now. Yes, it can go in the way of war and scarcity, but it can go in the way of creativity and abundance and community. I think the new generation can bring that forwards. There's a new way of thinking. With pain at the other side of that could be incredible freedom, liberty for a lot of people. But we've got to stand up and start making things happen, be proactive, and be creators in that.
I think something that occurred to me over the Christmas period was, we all have our own perception of success and what that looks like. And it occurred to me that my measure of my own personal success is the relationships around me and the quality of those relationships. And kind of that's the only thing that matters, really. Clearly, we need to make money, we need that for survival, but I think if I get that as my priority, everything else kind of feeds off that. If the money side of things is the sole focus and those relationships suffer, everything implodes.
Yeah.
Whereas if those relationships are taken care of and are nurtured and valued, then anything is possible.
Definitely. And we'll leave it there, James. So I think 2026, those are our predictions. This is what we think is potentially going to happen. But every year is going to be full of challenge and opportunity. As cliche as that may sound, you have to roll with the punches, deal with the cards you're dealt, try and stay, healthy as much as possible. Because once your health is compromised, then life can be a bit shitty, can't it? So try and look after yourself as much as possible, and reach out, face your own fears, and try and be as proactive as you can. I think, and what will be after that, James. But we're living in a very transformational time in human history, the most transformational time. And the potential, I believe, is just incredible for everybody to live amazing lives. But it will come with some big revolution and changes and challenges. So let's embrace it. 2026, James. I'm wishing you the very best, sir, and wishing everybody out there the best. And we will catch you next week, every Wednesday, 1 o'clock. Tune in. Here. Take care, James. Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.